Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Beyond the Label podcast. So for those of you watching, you can see that we're on the beach right now. I'm here with Bernice Lee. Hi, Bernice.
Hi, Leanne.
So nice to have you here today. We're going to talk so much. I'm sure of it already. So Bernice, you just want to start off with introducing yourself a little bit. Tell us about just anything that you want.
All right. So first off, I am a human. I'm no one but everyone. I'm a feminist and advocate and content creator for women empowerment.
First of all, okay, I love your introduction of being a human.
Yeah.
And I want to just dive deep into just exploring that.
Right.
Actually, I want to ask you, what do you think are the most human parts of you that you want to share with us?
I think the most human part of me is that I'm constantly trying to do better and be more kind and give more love to the world. And at the same time, I'm still struggling. And I think one of the most universal human experiences is that we're always trying to do better, knowing that we're not perfect, but we still strive for perfection. And we're struggling. We appear to be, all that, but we're not all that. So I guess the most human part of me is that I am all about normalizing being human, normalize, messing up things and not knowing what to do, but it's really okay. Yeah.
I love that so much because I feel like nowadays, especially in the society where we can film everything, we can document everything, it's like once you make a slight mistake, it's remembered forever and people judge you, criticize you for that. So I think that's just such an important reminder for us.
Yeah, I think so. And like you said, living in the digital age, and even like I said, right, I'm a human. And so I feel like all of the struggles that I personally go through are struggles that a lot of people could resonate with. And just like you said, even now I portray myself, or I take my content in a very certain way. I like my content with, this kind of aesthetic, and I still, am very picky about the content that I put out. And I guess a lot of content creators do. But again, it's something that I'm still trying to balance. How do I show up authentically while still, caring about my aesthetic? So I guess this is some sort of personal struggle that I think other people can also relate on a different level.
Can you tell us a little bit more about when you said, you've your struggles and you've been through a lot to reach this part of your journey? Can you just tell us some highlights? Yeah.
Right. Okay. Highlights of my life. I think, so basically I moved out when I was 19. So I moved out of my family home because at that point I realized that, the environment that I was in was not optimal for my personal growth. And I've always been someone who's very, very obsessed with self-development. I always wanted to become the best version of myself, regardless of it. That's because of my education. But I moved out, now it's 9 years.
Wow.
And I was also bullied through primary school, middle school, high school, uni. So I would say wherever I went, I never belonged, I never fitted in. And I think a lot of my struggles actually came from, my inconfidence. I looked very confident to a lot of people, but deep down I was it was hollow. And without, actually interrogating what caused that hollow part of my heart, I kept going on about life. And then until I was 19, I was like, wait, this isn't working. This will never work. And at that point, it was, you have to do something for yourself, if you want to live the life that you want. And at that point, it was very clear to me that I had to, let go of, everything that didn't work for me. And the other highlight would also be, I guess, being in a toxic relationship, very shortly after leaving home. And at that point, at some point I was actually very committed to this relationship, got engaged at one point, and thought that this was what I wanted for the rest of my life. This is the best thing that could ever happen to a woman. Then at some point I realized, wait, I can't ever truly show up as the most authentic version of myself, and I can't ever fulfill my potential as long as I'm with this person.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to like badmouth about anyone, because like I was as toxic as this person was. So like we're all works in progress. This is something that I believe in. And so I would say, the highlights of my life, to be honest, are not all the things that happened to me, but rather like how I handled different situations. Because it's my strongest belief that it's not what happened to us that defines us as a person, but how we handle these things that happen to us that really defines us as a person. And I guess having, these life experiences, and also having the reflection through these things, knowing that, wait, I don't want to let these things define me. And I realized I had the control in, how to handle the situation so that I could show up as a better person, so that the next time when in like very similar situations, I could react differently. I could practice more compassion and kindness. So that's kind of like the highlight, I would say.
What were some of the actually more practical things like that you did to help you in the process? Because I feel like, because these things are actually so common, like, when we talk about bullying, when we talk about lack of self-confidence, it's something that a lot of us like will potentially go through.
Right.
And this is like, I personally think we do live in a cruel society. And
yeah, we do.
Yeah, and I think the reason why I want to ask this is because it's a lot easier said than done to have this mindset, to know that you have to handle things differently, to know that, you have to, like, you can gain control by reacting, like by being not reactive. But a lot of us get stuck in the middle on how to actually proceed and do it, right? So is there any practical tips that you can share, or any tools that really help you to become this person that you are?
100%. So I'm gonna have to go back a little bit to like how my childhood looks like. Okay, so I had a childhood where I didn't have much like toys, and like I didn't have much entertainment. And most of my childhood, if I was in studying, then I'd be playing the piano, I'd be dancing, I'd be indulging what I would call now stuff that sets my soul on fire. So I guess having like doing the things that truly makes you joyful, this is a huge part, because you have to be able to see the difference between the things that drain your energy and the things that just keeps recharging your battery, right? And so at a very young age, I was exposed to the things that actually recharged my battery. So essentially, when I'm in those situations, or when I'm with people who would drain me, who would, make me feel like I have to shrink down to a version that they have the capacity to, appreciate whatsoever, that was, the difference was so vast that I was just like, wait, I see the difference. Like, and also like once you've experienced how you could be truly joyful, you don't want to be doing anything else. So I guess I was very, very blessed to be able to, exposed to the things I truly enjoy doing. And also I think that would be the biggest thing, like having and knowing the things that truly makes you happy. It could be the simplest thing, even just having a hot cup of mocha in the morning, even that, and also having time to yourself. So like I said, I was actually bullied through like primary school, middle school, high school, uni. So when I was like, as long as I was at school, I was always spending time alone.
Right.
So when you spend time alone, you actually observe people, or you're in your deep reflective thoughts, or you're sitting with your own emotions and thoughts, right? So I actually became very, very good at sitting with my own thoughts, my own emotions. So how I think self-awareness is important. So like I definitely gained a lot of self-awareness through just being by myself most of the time. So like I said, those two things, like having things, knowing what things truly make you happy. And then second thing is time with yourself. Because again, time with yourself, just force yourself to kind of dig deep into your own emotions. Sometimes you don't even have to understand your emotions, but it's rather just feeling them, but not avoiding them. And I feel, in a lot of situations now, when we're down, we tend to, ask friends to go out for drinks and stuff, and then you kind of like forget about what bothers you, but these things never go away. Your body actually stores everything. And I guess I'm just very blessed to have like experienced life the way I've experienced, and then I got very good at being alone and then just doing the things that I love. And then so slowly through reflecting on all the things that I'm seeing that people are doing, and then you're like, wait, I pick up on this pattern. Okay, I know what's happening there. And then you also realize, wait, do I want to be like this? Or like you also start to become like more critical about what patterns you actually have. And then so I guess, yeah, it was through those two things that I gained a lot of self-awareness as to, you know, what person I want to become and what are the stuff I don't want to do to people. And then also like my confidence is like deeply rooted from like radical self-love. And radical self-love for me actually, it was from understanding and practicing compassion for different ways of being. So when you've spent time like observing people or like just listening to people's stories, right? And then you start to realize, wait, we're all different, we're all unique, and we're all beautiful. And when you've realized that, you will start to have a very high level of compassion towards yourself and others. Like, I'm not going to judge you for whatever you do, because hey, you do you live your life. If you're happy, I'm happy for you, right? So that's the point that I've gotten to, because I could appreciate different ways of being, and because I could appreciate different ways of being, I've slowly kind of gain that confidence where I'm like, it really doesn't matter if people agree with me, because I know I'm uniquely beautiful and it's all happening within.
Oh my gosh. Everything that you shared. Yes. Oh wow. I want to go a little bit deeper into like, you know, achieving this level of empowerment, because
Right.
So we were talking before this podcast that, you know, nowadays it's like, you know, even though there's a lot of different voices on social media everywhere to tell us that we need to be unique, but essentially we're like, society now is not designed to help us be unique. We receive the same education, we get standardized tests, we are meant to be in a 9-to-5 office with desks identical to everyone. So how do we achieve, you know, even in your own experience, how do we empower ourselves when the surroundings is so limiting?
I think that, you know, like I said, I have to, you know, always go back to the self-awareness point. So let me give you an example, right? So say if I have a 9-to-5, which at some point in life I did have a 9-to-5, right? So I would need to go into the office and, you know, do the same thing that everybody does, you know, have my lunch at the same time that everybody does. And, you know, of course, you know, if you're living a life that you're spending most of your time of the day not doing the things that you love, of course you're going to be depressed. Like, what do you expect, right? Like, how you feel is a combination of all the things that you're doing for yourself, for your body, and all, as well as for the society. And then like, that's like, the combo of that is how you're going to feel internally. And I guess at that point, of course, I was lost. You know, I felt like my job was taking so much of my time, but then I was actually still spending time reading the stuff that I liked reading, still spending time doing the stuff that I was doing. I think, you know, it was actually me being, you know, in a 9-to-5 situation and knowing that, wait, I'm not happy about this. But then most of the people, they just stop there, right? It's like this mindset, wait, this is what I'm given right now in my life. I'm not happy about this. Let me keep on, you know, living this life. That's never going to make you happy. If you've noticed at some point that these are the things that make you, like, doesn't make you happy, doesn't set your soul on fire, these are kind of things that you need to let go of. But again, you know, I advocate for balance as well. Like, I also believe it's, you know, it's tough to, you know, just say, you know, I'm gonna not work a 9-to-5. And I guess a lot of people, they also have like different pressures in their life where they feel like they have to be in a 9-to-5. So I'm not saying, you know, everybody should live life the way I do and they will become the most empowered, the happiest versions of themselves. I think happiness or success, anything like that, like it's up to you to define what that is, what that looks like to you. And personally, I would really say like having the balance of like looking at your life and go like, okay, these are the things that don't make me happy, and why am I still doing that, right? So if I'm working a 9 to 5 because it pays well, supports me in, you know, whatever I want to do in life, maybe supports my family, supports like my hobbies, like expensive hobbies. Some people have really expensive hobbies, right? And so like if that's the reason you're staying in a 9 to 5, and that kind of stuff that you like, that package that you're getting from that 9 to 5 is not something that you can get from anywhere else, then that's kind of the balance that you need to go and be like, well, I am fulfilled in that sense, even though I'm not fulfilled in my day-to-day life because I'm engaging in stuff that I don't really love doing, but then it supports you in doing the stuff that you love, right? So that's kind of how you have to like balance and be like, okay, I'm actually not that depressed. And I wanted to like, through that, I actually wanted to share like an experience. I went through depression a couple of times, like in childhood, and then also in a toxic relationship. And you know, it was at one point I was like, oh, shit, I'm really depressed. Mm-hmm. But I don't know why that is. And so at that point I started bullet journaling. So, you know, there are all these like mood trackers, happy trackers in these bullet journals. And then I started recording my own moods every day. And then I was also recording the habits that I was forming, or like that I was informing on a day-to-day basis. And I started looking back each month at the end of the month to see how many days in a month that I was actually, you know, that I felt negative.
Right.
And I realized that when you actually take the time to ask yourself if you're happy or not happy or neutral that day, you tend to be less negative. If you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like it's like by default you won't think about all the good things that happen throughout the day, the good moments, the way you felt like joyful. But then we tend to dwell on the things that just didn't make sense to us, that didn't feel right to us, and then we just kind of like stay in that position and be like, oh, that's not a good day, right? But when you actually ask yourself, is it a good day or bad day? You actually, like, in your mind, you go through a thought process of what happened throughout the day. Like maybe some random stranger gave you a compliment, and if not by going through that thought process, you would never have remembered that. So it was actually through asking myself if I was happy, and then looking at my system, like looking at what I was doing on a daily basis, if I was, you know, honoring what I wanted to do, and then kind of like making sense of the pattern there. So the example is, for example, like we all have like goals or like stuff that we want to achieve or want to do, or like deep down something, right? So I remember when I started bullet journaling, I cared a lot about like weight loss. We can talk about body image in another episode, but you know, my point is, you know, that was the stuff that I wanted to achieve. And I realized that when I honored more of my body and myself through actually showing up as the version that I wanted to be at that point, I was a happy person. It's easier for me to be happier because I know I'm not betraying myself. So I would say, you know, navigating in this world where a lot of us, you know, do need to work a 9 to 5, it's, I guess, trying to appreciate what your 9 to 5 could do for you. And even if nothing, then make it do something for you, right? And like, I like this thinking because I remember being in a job where I felt so unfulfilled, and then I was just like, wait, this doesn't work for me. But then I was trying to learn something each day. And looking back, I still appreciate that experience. And also, like, we're always in the process.
Yeah.
So you can't look at the situation right now and be like, oh, this just would never work. I think that's like the mindset.
It reminds me of something like I once read somewhere, is that if, I think it's like Einstein, correct me if I'm wrong, who said this, like, if you want to live a different life, don't do the same thing every day.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, and what you said just now about journaling, I feel like, so for me, I'm someone who likes to, like, by default, you know, I look at fairy tales, I look at overly romanticized version of life. So when I write something, I actually tend to even if my day was just like neutral or just normal, or even if it's bad, I try to make it like, it's not that bad. Like, my life couldn't be that bad, you know? So I try to put in some, like, or even just like with the narration, I try to make it a little bit more positive, and eventually it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because when you write it and then you start to believe it in yourself, and then with believing it, I mean, it's just like manifestation.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I literally am just writing my life like a fairy tale, like I want it to be.
I love that.
I mean, it's, I started saying something very recently. It's like, it's not delusional if it's true. Because my friends always send me like those Delulu memes on Instagram, like, oh, this is like, you know, like you want to be a princess, you want to like dress like this on your birthday, and you want to like have all these things. Like, yeah, but like, it's okay, because I'm eventually gonna get my own version of my own delusional, like, romanticized life, right?
No, I love romanticizing life, and I think this is truly how you make life beautiful. I love that part where you shared, like, you write about your life as if it's a fairy tale. I think, you know, obviously we all have different ways of journaling, and in my journal, like, I like to write like poems. I like to write about like my own reflective process, like how I'm like emotionally feeling, and figuring out, like, kind of getting deeper as to, you know, why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And kind of journaling is kind of the best tool in healing myself. So I think journaling is been the best tool for me in terms of like self-actualizing, self-development, self-discovery, all things about myself. And honestly, I think that this sounds very, very selfish to a lot of people, like pouring all this effort, energy, attention into like growing yourself, becoming the best version of yourself. But, you know, I wanted to emphasize here that it's not a selfish thing at all. Like, it's the most selfless thing that you could ever do for yourself and for the world. Because when you show up as the better version of yourself, the kinder version, the full of love version of yourself, that's how you can see the world and be like, I don't want to contribute to anything negative in this society. I just want to be like, I just want to have more positive influence. And that's how you can serve the world. Even if not serving the world, like at least making the people around you more comfortable. That's the most selfless thing that you could be. So like I said, I'm like very, very obsessed with self-development, because I just think this world needs more love and kindness. And it really starts from within. And journaling, best way to start. Like whatever you write about. Like I literally started with free writing. So this is a practice that I have. I have mostly 3 different practices for like journaling. One of them is free writing, and when I mean free writing is it's a practice that I do before I get out the door every morning. I try to, but like we're not perfect, right? So every day is not very possible. It's like I'll set a timer, whether that be 5, 6 or 12, 20 minutes. I let myself write about literally whatever. And I don't go back and correct anything. I just let my thoughts flow. Yeah. And then I'm gonna tell you the most brilliant thoughts, ideas, they all come out from my morning free writing session. The science behind that is, I believe we're all social beings. And so as soon as we're in touch with other people, the society, we're losing ourselves. Right. We're losing our sense of self, like bit by bit. So in the morning, when your mind is still completely, entirely yours, you write about the things that actually go through your mind. That's going to be the most natural, organic thoughts. And that's like uniquely yours, right? And then when you write them down, these are not going to the back of your head and you're not going to just forget about them. And then you have some ideas here and then you feel like, wait, there might be something there, right? And I think a lot of us, we don't have that process because we've just been so conditioned to do whatever everybody's doing. And so we don't have our like unique thoughts anymore. Even if we do, we try to suppress it because we've been told that, oh, that's emotional, that's sensitive, that's Delulu. Right, exactly that. But again, you know, there's no Delulu. Like, look at the system that we live in right now. Probably back then, when the system didn't exist, somebody thought like this might be a good idea to, implement a system like this. Somebody probably have caught that person Delulu. But look at what the system's doing to us now. It's working, right? So nothing is Delulu, and like, as long as you believe in yourself, and as long as you have a strong enough why behind the Delulu ideas that you have. And so free writing is the best thing that I've really, the best practice that I've really ever had for my personal development, because it just reminds you, the entire practice just reminds you of how unbounded it should be being a human. Yeah.
It reminds me of, I remember, I think it was Steve Jobs. I think some of them like called him crazy, like obviously, right? Before he came with like the iPhone and every other Apple product. And I think he just wanted to change the world. And I remember actually saying this to one of my ex-boyfriends, like, oh, this Steve Jobs example. And he was like, do you think you're Steve Jobs? Like,
that's why he's an ex.
exactly.
But yeah, I get it.
So I think this is just such a great reminder, because I'm sure before Steve Jobs became Steve Jobs, people also said the same things. And now, on our own journey of becoming the most, like, to become the person that we're supposed to be, living at our utmost potential, there will be people like that guy I used to date who'll be like, who are you to like say this? And we just need to just be Delulu, like, that's so fine.
But I think also, I think navigating negative comments or criticism or not supportive people in your life, I think I could give like a tool that is, know that like whoever is criticizing you, whoever doesn't believe in you, that's just a projection. It's always a projection. Like, I've also been in a relationship where I was told nothing I wanted to achieve I could ever do. Like it was like whatever ideas I had. Of course, when you have a partner, that's kind of like the closest person you have in your life, and you tend to like share everything with. And a lot of the feedbacks that I was getting from that person was, you're never gonna make it there. You're freaking Delulu, right? And mind you, I broke up with this person, and within that month that I broke up with this person, I already made one thing that person said would never happen. 1 month.
Oh my God.
And it wasn't to prove that person wrong whatsoever. It just happened, right? And also like I said, it's always a projection. And also like in life, I moved out at 19, right? So at 19, I decided that, hey, this is not the supportive environment that I needed. In order for me to show up as the person that I know I am, like deep down, I was willing to let go of the environment that I was used to for 19 years, that supported me for 19 years. And so that's to also say, nothing in your life is supposed to stay forever, whether that be a partner, a friend. And I'm not saying, if you break up with a person, a friend, you're never gonna talk to that person again, because I just believe that we all walk different paths, and at any point our paths might cross again. We just never know, and we don't always have to like walk side by side together. It's like sometimes we walk this way and then our paths will cross again, and it really doesn't matter. Like, if you feel like you need to cool down like in a friendship, or if you need to let someone go in your life because it's just not supporting you in the way that you deserve to be supported in. That I think is very important. That to me is a practice of self-love, self-respect, and self-care. Like knowing what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and trying to stay away, or at least not let these things pollute your mind, because it does.
I actually want to add on to what you said, because by like letting go, or even like cooling down with a friend, at the moment you might think it's like selfish, and we like literally you just talked about like how prioritizing yourself is the most selfless thing, right? And because if you cannot be your most authentic self with the people around you, you're actually also not serving them.
Exactly.
So I think that's just so important for us to like recognize, like, because I know people who stay in like friendships, relationships, because they felt it is their duty, because they've been in it for like a period of time, and they have to continue to be in it.
Yeah.
But it's not true because like the other person will also, you know, they feel your energy. They're not stupid. And eventually,
Yeah.
you know, like, yeah, so I think it's just so good that now you're here to remind us to be self-aware and to, you know, make all these priorities in life.
Yeah, no, I love what you said about like if you're not being completely yourself, you're also not serving the other person. That's 100%, if not 1,000% true. It really is. Like I said, if you're not your best version, if you're not completely authentically yourself, no, it's not just the other person will feel it, but it also because you're not being yourself. So like you're not inspiring the other person to be authentically themselves. So essentially, like you're just two beings here not being authentic and kind of navigating whatever, and I just think it will never work. It will never work. And especially when you walk away from a friendship, it doesn't matter how the other person perceive it. Say I am to tell you, hey Leanne, I feel like I just need to cool down from this relationship. Of course, communication is done very delicately. Like you have to also like watch out for, you know, how you might be hurting the other person's feeling. Like prioritizing yourself is not about, oh, this doesn't work for me, so I'm gonna walk away, bye, you know.
Not like ghosting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about like, it's also about practicing compassion towards the person you're walking away from, and then communicating in a very compassionate way, and also letting that person know, hey, you don't need to take this personal. I'm doing this for myself, and I'm hoping that the time that it will give me to focus on myself will also do the same for you. That's how you practice compassion and be like, hey, I still love you. I'm walking away, but it's not because of us, it's not because of you, it's because I need this. And when the other person sees you doing this unapologetically, that's going to inspire them doing the same. And when you inspire with compassion, that's how other can kind of copy and paste and show this compassionate side of themselves to others as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's literally what I said about like when you care about putting in attention, thoughts, effort into growing yourself into the ultimate version of yourself, that's truly how you become so inspiring, and then other people can just learn from you, or like we all learn from each other.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just because like you said, like everything is a projection, everything's a mirror, and when you are able to, you know, do that and like just like break the cycle, right? Other people will start to, it's like that thing people do in like coffee shops, like you pay for, like I pay for your coffee and then like you pass it on to like pay for other people's coffee. It's just like a chain of positive reaction.
Exactly.
Yeah. And now that we're on the topic of, you know, like self-love, so this is actually my last question for today is for you to share with us one thing that you love about yourself.
Can I just say I love how I'm struggling, but I'm still like, I don't mind the struggles. I think that is the most human and inspiring bit about myself, and the part that I love about myself the most is how the way I'm being, the way I'm loving myself and the world. That would truly be it, because again, I'm just a human, and I think my existence, like I think my mission on this earth in this lifetime is to just remind everyone that how capable we are and how messy we all are and how it's perfectly fine just this way.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's humanity. And we're constantly doing our best. Like even if you're not working on your self-awareness, I still believe that each one of us at any given moment, we're doing the best that we can, given what we know. Yeah. And so practicing like appreciation for that, and that's humanity. And I love being a human. Like I feel blessed to be given this body to experience life. And so yeah, I love the way of my being.
I love it too.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for being here today, you know, to like share your thoughts and everything with us.
I'm just so glad to be here and sharing what I've learned, so that maybe I can inspire a little more kindness and love in the world.
I mean, first of all, you've already inspired me, so that's like one person, and then you guys. So how can we find you on Instagram or anywhere that you might want us to know you from?
Okay, so can find me on Instagram at Bernice Lee, or on Spotify podcast, Apple Podcasts. I also have a podcast that I co-host with Jian, who also runs a community with me that's called Soul Club. Our podcast is called There You Glow.
There you glow.
So it's like there you go, but like there you glow.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys go check that out, and we'll talk to you soon.